Cat and Tinkermon had gone with Lilithmon to Dabada Woodtown, where they'd found that the buildings were looking like they were in better shape than the people were. They'd learned that it was the doing of a Digimon called Achillesmon, and were told that they wouldn't even reach them by the two Digimon that had spoken to them, that were insectoid in nature, that being Shadramon and Flybimon respectively. The two had both digivolved, changing into the form of Darkmon and Yuki Crystalmon, prepared to fight if they had to. The two insectoid Digimon took that as a challenge and began to attack them, with Shadramon fighting Yuki Crystalmon and Flybimon fighting Darkmon, though the girls were able to avoid the attacks, with Cat asking if Lilithmon was going to be joining in. The Demon Lord says that she'd rather enjoy the show and see what they are made of, and whether or not they are as worthy to keep around as BL Starmon had said they were. She'd step in, if she had to, that is, but only if. Flybimon was focusing on Darkmon, and it started vibrating their wings faster, creating electricity around them before blasting them off at her, though our Digimon partner managed to get out of the way. Yuki Crystalmon, in the meantime, was fighting against Shadramon, who caused their armored fist to catch on fire, and began trying to attack them with it, calling out "Flare Buster!" Though Cat was able to counter with her own powers of ice, using the Snow Flash to dispel the fire and partially freeze Shadramon's wings, making them drop to the ground, trying to break them free, igniting their flames again. Flybimon continued to fight Darkmon with their electric moves, calling out "Fly Spark!" though they continued to avoid it before telling the insect it's her turn, before calling out "Baptem de Mort" and destroying them with her slender blade, using a magnificent sword technique to cut them to ribbons and absorbing their data. The only thing left of them was a Digimental of knowledge. Meanwhile, Cat had unleashed her Frozen Winter, freezing Shadramon in place and shattering them to bits, absorbing their data before leaving behind only a Digimental of Courage. Darkmon said that these might prove useful, throwing the one for knowledge over to Cat, who placed them both into storage on her multi-tool before turning their attention to where their next fight should be. The three then began flying off to where the Digimon that had started all this was located. Finding them sitting on a throne was Achillesmon, a Digimon in white and gold armor with a purple tip ear, looking angry at them and demanding to know who they were to be entering his domain without his permission. Cat tells him they're the ones that's going to be taking him down, though the Digimon didn't look impressed, saying that they were Achillesmon and they had no weaknesses, and challenged them to come at him at their leisure. The two then attack, with Yuki Crystalmon trying to freeze him with her Snow Flash, but he was far too fast, even creating after images while laughing at them. Achillesmon then said that he was going to end this little game, and threw his divine spear into Yuki Crystalmon, piercing her Digicore and causing Cat to drop down from pain as she was slowly breaking into data, but refused to give up, with Darkmon ripping the spear out of her and throwing it aside, trying to help as Lilithmon was about to step in, but stopped when Cat said she wasn't done. Cat refused to give up even after reverting to her human form, while trying to keep it together, saying that Achillesmon was wrong about not having weaknesses, as she started to ignite a new colored blaze around her, confusing the Digimon by what she'd meant, as the blaze seared her wounds shut and she glared at the Digimon that had stabbed her. The blaze continued to burn as it engulfed Darkmon, who was helping her partner, Sand, and the two had a new light glowing in combination with the blaze. This confused Achillesmon, as he'd never seen anything like that. Then again, neither had Lilithmon, who was also watching in surprise and awe of what was going on as the two began to change form, growing larger and having their wings become different than they were normally. When the light faded, there they stood, one in a black outfit with pale skin and slightly torn wings. The other had icy blue colored wings that were feathered instead of fairy-like as they were previous, and a white and blue outfit. They'd become Lady Devamon and Snowy Anjouamon respectively, and were now ready for round 2 with the Digimon that had stabbed Cat with his spear. Snowy Anjouamon said it's time to take them down before flapping her wings repeatedly, creating blasts of cold air, and flew around the area as she'd cause snow to begin to fall heavily all around them. Achillesmon tried to grab his spear but found that the ground had frozen over, becoming slippery, and so wasn't able to properly maneuver around, missing their chance to grab it. Lady Devamon took that opportunity to unleash her darkness wave upon the tyrant, unleashing hundreds of what looked like little black bats that swarmed around them, keeping Achillesmon from being able to properly regain his footing. As Snowy Anjouamon then unfolded the bow on her right glove and pulled back the string, creating an arrow that was made of ice, launching it at their opponent and stabbing them in the heel of their foot, creating a crack in their armor. There it is, Achilles' heel. "Lady Devamon, now!" spoke Cat with a smirk, seeing she was right, and called out to her partner to attack. The fallen angel Digimon then nodded and flew down, calling out, "Darkness Spear!" as her claw had become a spike, and magical rings appeared going around it as she called, "Poison!" as she then jabbed her spike through the crack in Achillesmon's heel, injecting the toxin into their body, infecting them with a dark energy, causing their own power to turn against them, spreading the crack all over their body before shattering to data and being absorbed by the two of them. Lilithmon looked happy to see what they'd done and said that Bielstarmon was right to ask for their help in the war. They were truly impressive allies, and that she was honored to call them her allies, making the two smile, glad they've proven themselves, and reverted to Tinkermon in Cat's human form again, feeling exhausted. Though the people of the town all seemed super happy as the children were running around and playing in the snow, and the citizens were all celebrating the defeat of the tyrant. The three decided to head back to the castle and began riding Trailmon Darkness back, though on the way Cat had received a call from Nicole, who'd showed her that he was somehow in the human world with Cat's family and let them chat together for a while, though they soon needed to cut the feed as they were coming to their stop.